everybody. Welcome to the Daily Dose. If you are out and about shopping pretty much anywhere in the United States during the summer months, you are bound to see a display of knickknacks or apparel that are colored in red, white, and blue. Independence, freedom, is on our minds, especially in the days surrounding July 4th. So this week we are talking about our faith, in particular as we think about Christian freedom. And today I want to wonder with you specifically about grace. What does grace really mean to us, and why do we talk about it so much in the church? I mean, we certainly sing about it, right? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I think we could all probably agree that it's hard to find someone who doesn't know that line of that familiar hymn. So, what does this idea of grace even have to do with Christian freedom? Well, think with me for a second about a playground image, the image of a teeter-totter. Now, I don't know if playgrounds have these as much as they did when I was a kid. It's maybe not as safe as some of the playground equipment that I see now. But think for a minute about that act on a teeter-totter of going up and down. In order to teeter back and forth, to actually go up or down, there has to be some give and take from both sides of the teeter-totter, right? I mean, I can remember times where we would mess around on the teeter-totter and you would just dig your heels into the playground to hold the other person way up in the air. And they would be essentially stuck there with nothing they could do until you let go of your heels and allowed them to come back down. In order for the teeter-totter to work as it was intended, there had to be some give and take from either person. And I wonder if sometimes that's how we think about our relationship with God. We think that if we give God whatever it is that God needs, our lives will go as they should. If we do our part to keep things in the world moving smoothly, then we'll be rewarded. We will somehow be freed to have a smooth ride in everything we do. Or sometimes I think people have the idea that God is kind of like that person that weighs down the teeter-totter, digging in God's figurative heels until we say something or do something or change something in order to earn back our smooth ride in life. But in the book of Romans, we hear about something different in our relationship with God, and therefore something different about this idea of Christian freedom. The book of Romans was written by Paul, a man who once was persecuted. He once persecuted followers of Jesus. But now Paul has experienced life-changing things. He is all of a sudden transformed and committed to telling other people about Jesus. So this book of Romans is a letter to the Roman people explaining all the ways through Jesus that God offers a unique type of freedom. And early in the book of Romans, we read that Paul is really wrestling with this idea of faithfulness and unfaithfulness, righteousness and unrighteousness. What, he wonders, determines who is a good Christian and who is not. Some people in Paul's days would have been wondering, shouldn't the Jewish law just tell us how to be in a certain right relationship with God? But listen to this. Paul says, what shall we conclude then? He writes in chapter 3. Do we have any advantage? Not at all, for we have already made the charge that both Jews and Gentiles alike are all under the power of sin. We, Paul is saying, all of us, we're all going to mess up. Sin is as likely for you as it is for me. And Paul is reminding us that we can't simply achieve faith by trying to avoid sinning. So then later in chapter 5 of Romans, we read, therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access to faith into this grace in which we now stand. So what does this mean? Well, I think it means that this grace, this idea of forgiveness and love, it's not something that we earn. See, that freedom that we have that comes from God, it's just as you hear it. It's free. And God's grace is amazing, not because it's like that teeter-totter, somehow dependent on what you do or you don't do. No, God's grace is more on the playground like the sandbox, where you can't keep track of when the sand is in your shoes or in your clothes or in the bag you brought with you because it is so abundant. Trying to avoid that sand getting into your sandals somehow, how does that work out for you? Not very well, right? And God's grace, it's just like that. It frees us from the pressure of figuring out what to give God and when to give it to God because of God's grace. Nope, we are totally free. Hey, thanks so much for watching the Daily Dose this week. We hope you tune in. If you ever miss one, you're welcome to go back to our website, our YouTube page, and you can check it out. Be sure to invite someone with you to tune in next time.